Hmm. Yep. YouTube chat. All right. So we are continuing with the second day of the PMDE 15th anniversary stream series. And sorry that I didn't start 10 minutes earlier like I wanted to. I was really invested in what happened in the new Half-Life VR, but the AI is self-aware because they're just starting with 2. But anyway, that's not important right now. What is important right now is I have to read some more. And I hope my throat is fine with doing all the voices again. So, let's begin with mission 3, right where we left off. I probably should have started on this page first, but I already have these open up, so... Finally! Over with this dreadful mission. It was barely worth the pay. Did it give you that much trouble, Shroomsworth? It was taxing in more than one sense. Well, we very much so appreciate it. And actually, I have something to discuss with you. Oh? Oh, wow, he quickly recovered from that. You know, I'm getting old. There's no one else ready to run this village. You were next, but you left, so we're in a tight spot. Ah, you know I'll return here if ever I am needed. Oh boy, I know. I just wanted to remind you. I know how much you love this place, boy. Your siblings miss you often, you know. Elder, maybe I ought not to accept payment. This village is struggling right now. I think we can do without. Though I'm sure Madame PK has other thoughts. Nonsense, you foolish spore. Fair is fair. Plus, with more residents, our prosperity is just around the corner. Besides, I know that Lady Kekline would give you hell. Yes, she would. Anyway, thank you. You know I'm but a village away if there's any problem. Ye dumb fool slasher. Look at what this here rookie Sable has done to ye. Just think about that for a moment. This is not Devonshire, it is a cameo. Why is he here? Why is it here then? What? You damn lucky Frostrat! If Devonshire took care of this himself, boy, just think about that. Next time, don't dare let there be a next time if you value your life and your legs. Oh my gosh. Of course he would bail early, just cause we couldn't pay in full. That Don Shroomsworth, does he think I'm made of money or something? Yeah, I guess they wanted to add a funny there. I still don't get what it's doing there. Also, Mike, if only you knew what happened. Mike, it shouldn't matter since we saved the Pokemon, right? I think this is the Axew from the first place. Because they did contests for these missions. And if I remember correctly, this was from someone who made like an entire doujin for mission 2. And not only did they have it in English, but they also had it in Japanese, which I thought was impressive. I tried to contact said person, but it doesn't seem like they're active online anymore, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, we rescued all of them. We didn't even need Shroomsworth for all of it. Yep, it was a close call, though. Yeah, I guess so. Well then, I'll just remember why I'm out here. Can someone help me get to the island on Cobalt Lake? Of course, I brought one for each of you. And here's a little present for you, little Sporguard. My, you look dashing. Yes, yes, I missed you all too. This is a very happy face. I like this face. I wish I could see this face more often. I shall try to visit again soon, little ones. Now, I must be off. Yes, this place. You! I can smell it on you. What have you been doing with the Godstone? Ugh, I should have known she'd been sharp. You're the Forest Guardian, yes? Can you help me? Answer me first. What have you been doing with the Godstone? What does it look like? Gray indents, 3 of them spears. Yeah, unfortunately. We need to get the purple rat out of the... Wait, I already did get the purple rat out of the equation. It's a shame it took like a decade for me to do so. Sounds like something I handled a few days ago. It was all passing business, of course. That's how my work is. Miss... Excuse me, what's your name? I feel rude not having some sort of namesake to address you by. Kalish. My name is Kalish. What a most lovely name. Yaw! Oh, incredible land beast, be that ye in the dark? Never mind. I can see you over there in the back. I have a few questions, you see. Why do you smell of the dark stone, Tonguebite? So, you know why I'm here. Well, I guess no beating around the bush. How do we awaken the Pokemon, land beast? We'll figure it out either way. You'll never be able to. Kalish, Eastalk, and I prevent Pokemon from enacting bad ideas. We have hundreds of Pokemon working for us. Surely, tell me now, how do we do it? You get a single warning. Stay away from the tower's depths. I have no idea if I'm doing a Claude impression or not, because it's been a while since I played Three Houses. That's just the sort of vibe I get from these three. I get Kalish being Edelgard. I forget his name, but he seems like a Claude. And then the last one right here would be Dimitri for me. Thanks for the lift. I'll be out in a sec. Hello? Is anyone there? Hello? Young Charmander, what business have you here? Who's there? What? You're sporting a feather of my goddess. Boy, where did you find that? You know the owner of this feather? How? Who is it? I'm sorry. It's best that you don't know. Why? It's my goal to meet the... Stop. Just listen. Look at my feather. I got it in combat. No! Boy, this Pokemon is best left sleeping, away from the heavens. Don't try anything stupid. Kalish, Degu, and I like to ensure the safety of all. Ah, yes, it's Degu. That's right. Don't try to play with me for a fool. One warning. Go near that place, and I'll attack anyone carrying that stone. I swear, these periods get smaller every time I don't see them. Go near that place, and I'll attack. Anyone carrying that stone will have to die. I'm sure you understand, Gabite. The loss of a few lives to save many will cut down those who will cause that to others. That makes no sense. We just want the power to spread our ideals to all. Truth, ideals, you can't properly express those things with force. They have to be decided for oneself. But it takes so long that way. And in the meantime, it takes ages to help Pokemon. Enough. Just go, Breloom. Warn whoever you must. I just want peace. That's all we want. That's it. Why must there be a bloody ordeal? I know, Shroomsworth. I want peace too. It's not like they should be chill. Ah, finally, chill. Okay, chill out. I'll take your shouting as a no. Why would I want her here? My, calm down. I just wanted if Syrup... No, she's not invited here. She just causes me trouble. Oi, Devonshire. I got it. I know where you're gonna go now. Oh, splendid. Let us continue this conversation in private. But Mike... No! Ah, good. I'm glad you helped him out. Don't forget your pay. That was a particularly dangerous job, so here. But what is it? I'm all ears. Aw, oh, come on, Mike. There's a spy on your head. Out! Dude, you gotta stop being so careless. What if we started talking about that stuff already? We'd have been in trouble. Ah, sorry, Jill. I'm trying. Why do they just keep flipping and flopping between characters every 30 seconds. So, I think you're gonna need some help. Yes, I could do it alone, but time is of the essence here. Oh, yes, and I do have a task for you. I found out that Mike would be severely agitated by Syrup's presence. Why is beyond me, but anything that hinders them is fine with me. I gotcha. I'll make up a ceremony or something for her. Invite'll be in the mail today. Make sure the trophy is very fancy. She likely won't want to stay in the village otherwise. It's probably best to commission the merchants this time. Well, I'm going to write my letter then. I'll be off. Do hurry with yours as well. Yeah, exactly. Oi, I'll go do that now then. Good luck, Devonshire. Ugh, what a pain. Ice. Ugh. Madam, don't even try and complain after what I've been... Oh, bloody hell. How'd you get in there? No wonder it still felt heavy. How? How did you manage that? Shrimsworth. Ugh. And my interview with Kathy's in like an hour. Ah, good. Someone got rid of that stupid door. Gotta count all these coins now that my letter's done. No one better have a touched then. Damn it, where'd that ruby go? Better hurry. Guess that's all in that loot. I suppose I should take my letter to the copier now. So, explain yourself, or I'll make Shrimsworth send you back. You wouldn't dare. My god. Imagine being someone who didn't know about the Merlot rape comic, and you're wondering, what has Shrimsworth experienced to make him not want to return to the mansion? And then, imagine being someone who's like, you know that those who know meme? It's like that. I'll work for free, just no maid outfits. Well, I'm sold. Welcome to Apprenticedom. Come on, I got an interview. Let's go. Finally, a moment to just settle down and... Yes? Sorry to interrupt you, but... Well, this letter from Chill should explain it. I see. Okay, so Chill got a letter from this Malt fellow offering payment for your return, Ovaltine. What an annoying job for Chill to pass on. Still, you better be done causing trouble, miss. I'll arrange for a team to escort you to the ranch post-haste. I don't even remember what voice I thought of giving Ovaltine. I'm not going back! Mo can just suck it, cause I'm staying put! Don't be ridiculous. If you're from the ranch, that means you supply us with product we need. Therefore, you being here without the proper vacation paperwork in my possession, and I know it's not, is a breach of our trade agreement. Don't care. Be reasonable, madam. How about you be reasonable? Malt hasn't scheduled me a vacation in years. Okay, listen, I cannot help with that. Please stop your acts of selfishness right now, though. Work something out with Malt. I'm not in the mood for trouble right now. You'll be escorted soon. Now sit nicely over there while I finish this. Perfect. Now, Ovaltine. Ah. Get back here right now, you impudent little cow! Yep. Man, after all I do for Chill, he just scolds me because of that stupid bug. Oh, right. Urgent delivery for Mike! Jesus Christ, I can't do a German accent. Urgent delivery for Mike! Why is Mom visiting? Jill doesn't even know how to help me! Oh, I can ask all the rescuers to help me. Jill doesn't need as much help, but I do. Ah! What now? I gotta go warn everyone! What did Jill look like? It was something like this. I feel like I'm getting it wrong. Who's in here? Jill? I thought you left for your trip. Forgot something. You okay? You sound funny. I'm fine, Mike. Just got something in my throat. Why'd you need an entirely separate box for that? You could have just had Mike's text here and then fake Chill's text here. Chuck. Why did I have to get Chuck? Well, at least it wasn't as smart. Yeah. Well, at least he wasn't as smart as she is. Hey, I'll let Shroomsworth train you starting tomorrow. I have to leave later on. I'd let you come, but it's dangerous and icy. I know you wouldn't like the ice. I don't either. Why are you leaving? For peace. Oh, I like that. Me too. It's good for business. Yep. Hope I can pull this off before the others. Others? Chill in Devonshire. They don't want peace? I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do, actually. Then how can you know what they want? Well, it's like this. I'm trying to get to something that resolves conflicts. They each are also trying to get to something, and if they aren't trying to get to what I am trying to get to, logically, they're going to end up causing conflicts. Oh, I guess. Okay. I do hope the teams hurry. I have infinite patience for that worth the wait. Dragon. Dragon, I do hope you're prepared to help us. I do. I do. I have absolutely no tolerance for dawdling fools, however. Those teams had better show up soon. PK and Chill need to be put in their place before they can act. Ah, here they are. Finally. Bleh. Why would that Guardian want to stop us? I still don't get it. Isn't this the right thing to do? It's sad, but no one listens to you unless you're powerful. How else can we stop Pokken from doing awful things? Isn't that how it is, isn't it? I wish Mike were here. I just want to help. I just want to do what's right. This is the right thing to do. No more stealing, no more sneaky tricks, no more hoarding. Everyone will have to listen to us. No wording it like that. No, wording it like that makes me sound like a villain. Let's try again. Everyone will be inspired to listen to us. Yeah, that's better. Ah, cool. Glad they found me. We can begin now. Sandy, you silly Dino. You wouldn't know a thing. Of course I have to do this. Chill doesn't really know how much... Fuck, these words. Chill doesn't really know much about the world yet. And Devonshire? Devonshire maybe knows too much about the world. Ugh. What does he even have in mind? I can't imagine seedy rogues controlling everything. The thought is dreadful. Oh, good. Help has arrived. We did it, Mama. We didn't get caught like last time. It was a piece of cake. No one suspected a thing. Good work, my tired little babies. We will wait now for another perfect moment to strike. Let us rest. And now it's time for Mission 3. It's a two-parter mission, which I think is the only one of its kind, I think. Wow. Oh, well, it seems Chill is left out for some super-duper big mission at this tower. But I really think it needs some help. If you guys really want to, you can hurry up and catch up with Chill before he leaves. It's probably right at the clearing between Tau Village and, what's it called? Moon... Oh, Monochrome Tower! Yeah, that's it. I tell you, Chill thinks he can do anything by himself, but no, that'll just break every woman's heart. You better get some help from your rescuers. Oh, and it seems that... Do I have to read? Yeah, it's short. I can read all this. Oh, and it seems that the cute Eggy duos, Puzzle and Ruben, need your help. Some loser Sneasel from the Slasher gang thinks he's so cool going alone and stealing their eggs. Like he can do anything with us around. Let's just help Puzzle and Ruben. That is, if you can. Those two are great, and I like them. They're cute, and I get my daily supply worth of yummy eggs. Can't have my noodle soup without 4 eggs. Just look out for Virgil. When he's around, you know he's up to stopping crooks. Hold up, I just got a letter. Forget Chill, I'm the one who needs help here. Oh man, why is Mom coming out of all times? A ceremony? What? Why are the rogues choosing this time to give Mom an award now of all times? Let me see. And they told me this is a really great place. If it's really as cozy as they said, I might have to move in to take care of my little babies. Ah, no! Okay, I really need your help, guys. We gotta crash this award ceremony that the rogues are whipping up. I gotta show Syrup, that this town doesn't really belong to the rogues. Yeah, I forgot to mention she's a rogue, and she's a skun tank. Yeah, get it out of your system. Anyway, that's pretty much it, you guys. Either help Chill, as if he needs it, big shot over there. Puzzle Ruben, or me. I know, it's a hard choice, but us rescuers are really made of rough stuff. I know you guys can't let me down. They have a bone and flame, Mike. Let me close this door. I forget it's open sometimes. Oh, by the way, my radical rogue haters, my radical rescuers, totally, dudes. I need you guys to stop that turkey of a Gabai gunpowder. Why, for one thing, just look at the gnarly eye patch, man. Totally grody, and he, totally for sure thinks he's, it's better than my shades. And even worse, he tried to, eat me. Yeah, that's way untubular, man. All you gotta do is beat him up and steal his treasure. Yeah, that's right, steal as much as you can. He took it, like, from other Pokemon anyways. All you gotta do is bring it to the big rock just outside the clearing at Illusory Woods. Sounds groovy, right? Right. I know you guys can do it. Stay frozen, peeps. Chill. So yeah, here we got part 1. I think this is part 1. I forget. Isn't event 3 part 2? No, event 3 is the other one. Greetings, merchants. Things are really heating up, are they not? It seems Miss PK wishes to personally handle an important errand nearby the icy cave. Just as I previously required assistance, I'm certain she would appreciate your assistance as well, if you can catch up to her at the Flowerland Grove. But we have business to take care of in the village too. Surely some of you care enough to straighten these things out, there what? I'm sure some of you remember the Miltank known as Ovaltine, yes? Quite a charmer, that one. Perhaps not as much as myself, however. Facts. Speak truth, my king. Fortunately for you all, I'm all business. Yes, anyway, the rescuers have tasked us with escorting her back to Tower Ranch before she causes any more of a fuss. Unfortunately, it seems she had a rather heated argument with Malt, another resident Miltank, and did not wish to return over it. It's a shame. The ranch is a rather nice place. Malt's my kind of fellow, always carrying an abacus, very business-minded, it seems. Perhaps he is clashing with her more easygoing methods? What? Did I say something strange? Regardless, please do whatever is necessary to ensure she wants to stay at the farm. We do need our source of milk for trade to remain after all. God, I can't sentences today. Now then, let it be known that I personally find Gunpowder to be a right scoundrel. There even seems to be wanted posters for the fellow all over the place all of a sudden. Unfortunately, the scoundrel needs a delivery from us. A beautiful trophy. I would protest if it weren't for someone else. The rogues are having some sort of presentation ceremony. Now, I certainly don't know anything about what a rogue has to accomplish for this sort of honor, and I'm not sure I want to know. However, Devonshire seems to have gone on an errand of his own. This leaves us without the ability to gain clearance into the rogue's hut. Unfortunately, our only option is infiltration. Ensure that Gunpowder receives the delivery before the ceremony begins, or its failure will surely be on our heads. As you can see, we have much to do. The sheer logistics of all of it will keep me busy for days. I'm relying on our finest teams to get the job done as a result. Do make me and Miss PK proud, fellows. Stay classy, Shroomsworth.
Oh, yeah, I have one more thing to tell all you lovely merchants out there. Oh, why am I back, you ask? Didn't I go off to some big tower in the woods? Well, this is pretty important. So important I run back here and tell you all before I go and do anything else. Alright, so you know those rescuers, right? The group led by that Charmander and Minchino? Chill, was it? Yeah, Chill. Chill's actually owed us some money for a while. Sure, he says he gets things for free from us, but he's really just telling us to put it on his tab. Well, this tab of his has gotten quite large, and I'm getting real sick and tired of waiting for him to pay up. So, I need a few of my wonderful merchants to sneak into Chill's treasure vault and take what he owes us. He should have gone off to that big old tower, which I should really be getting back to, and Mike won't even realize that this horde's unguarded. He shouldn't be that much of a threat, actually, so don't worry about him. Just make sure that you get that treasure. Once you got it, bring it all to the Illusory Woods. I'll be waiting there to give whoever brings it all to me a lovely reward. Hurry up, PK.
Mission stuff. Yo, I hope all you scallywags receive my last edition of How to Be a Pirate. Just remember, keep practicing your yar and remember to swab the poop decks every day. Now then, if you're getting this letter and we're planning to help out Devonshire, then what are you doing? He's already gone. He'd probably be there by now, you swashbucklers. Get in gear. Apparently there's a cave between Monochrome Tower and Tower Village, and, well, surely he sent you a letter too. The details are surely there. Now, on to business. First, this be for all my mates out there. A great veteran of the rogues be coming to town on my accord. Her name be Syrup, and she's a Skontax, so she be hard to miss. Smell her from a mile away. Show her your respect, and put on your best rogan, cause she ain't easy to impress. But if you make her upset, I'm taking responsibility. Anyway, I'm sure y'all be itching to cause some trouble. Well, I got news for you. There'll be a slowpoke slum just outside the village. Well, I needn't say they struggle with food and such. My sources tell me that Osberg, owner of a veggie farm out by Tower Ranch, has a surplus of goodies that just may benefit these slowpoke. If I need to say more to you, well, how do you make it this far, mate? If you're the type that be all high and mighty, Mr. and Mrs. I ain't gonna steal, then you'll probably be sticking around the village. Well, as I told all y'all, Syrup be coming to town, and we want her to stay. She was known for really running this place like a champ back in the days. The rescues definitely avoided the rogues. And, well, you know, that'd be a good thing, right? I'd be getting quite tired to hear about them messing up our jobs. Anywho, remember how I said she'd be hard to impress? Well, it's your lucky day. Your job be to try and convince her to stay around. We'll be throwing a welcoming party for her, with a spot for you rogues to show off your stuff. Get it done. That's all I'd be able to remember for now, but you know me, I'm be forgetful at times, yar. I do my best though. You know what I do to people that have a problem with it. Many pleasantries, gunpowder. A moment please, there is but one more thing I must propose to all of you fine rogues. You see, that rascally Kecleon that runs the shops here, PK, has been quite a thorn in our wallet as of late. A very flammable thorn, and it has been sitting there burning a hole in our wallet long enough. Put quite simply, we are getting quite fed up with her overcharging. She seems to believe that simply because we are rogues, our coffers must be filled to the brim with money stolen from others. As you are all most fully aware, this is not the case. What we must do is teach that Kecleon a lesson, and perhaps make up for the economic injustices done upon our most respectable guild. And this is what I request of you. If you would like to prove your worth to the guild, or perhaps even simply get revenge for your diminishing funds, please visit PK's shop. You simply can't miss it. It is awfully tacky after all, and I think it could use some redecorating, don't you? Vandalize the shop, and take whatever merchandise you can find to Illusory Woods. I will meet up with you there at a later time and reward you for your most enthusiastic efforts. Now, I must return to my expedition to Monochrome Tower. Please be sure to teach PK a lesson she won't soon forget. I'm counting on you, Devonshire. I hope those fake things sounded... Okay, so this isn't the multiple part mission that I was thinking of. It seemed like the most... It seemed like the two-part mission, but I guess not. Wait, before I read epilogues. Oh, yeah, that's right. We got interviews, a story, and resignation. How could I forget? So I need to pull up the interviews. Okay, it says PK's first. Hey, sorry I'm late. Hey, I thought Kathy was doing this. She had to call in sick. I'm a student. Is it fine if I fill in for her? Eh. Okay, I do want to say one thing. Why is it sometimes there's like discrepancies between certain details? Because in the prologue, she's aware Chuck is doing in the interview, but in the interview itself, she's like, wait, I thought the chat-on was doing this. What? I guess so. I do hope you'll give me the full experience, though. I don't want my interview to be worse than the others, because you don't know how to do your job. Well, I think I want to speak more for the people, so I'll start with this. How big is your monopoly? Jeez, what are you getting at? There are plenty of other shops if you go visit the villages far off, you know. You aren't forced to buy my goods or anything. It can hardly be called a monopoly, then. Gee, you should probably get your question straight, kid. Well, okay, fine. Oh, I got another one. Is it true you have a Ludicolo working for you for free far off somewhere? Ugh. It is surprising to me that they reference, what is it? Mexican sweatshops or something? Isn't that like an old thing? I only know that stereotype from Hot Diggity Demon's MLP thing with the rarity thing. Why in the world would you ask that? We pay everyone who works for us. Do you think I discriminate against Pokemon by their type or something?
Who does that? Seriously, get it right. Darn, and I was sure the Wikiberry log would be right. Next question. Do you have any parents? She did what? No allowance, ever again! No lips? The old caddy got your tongue? Okay, here's another one by popular request. Are you currently in a scandal with gunpowder? Oh. Oh, yeah, because of anime and stuff. I think it's anime. Or is it just animation in general? What? What business is that of yours? You wouldn't even be asking that if you knew the things I know about him. It's best to avoid the rogues when it doesn't concern business, and even sometimes when it does. Oh yeah? Well, here's the proof in the pudding. PK's gunpowder, a story based on non-fictional events. PK's tongue was lolling out of her mouth as gunpowder worked at doing the squeal. So why are these fanfictions real and canon? This is disgusting. What type of crackpot interview is this? Listen, I don't have time for your petty gossip. Oh yeah? Then care to explain this? This was spotted in Mike's calendar. Obviously you have the hots for him. This is clearly painted. There's paint on the photo. Well, that's only the bikini. This pose wasn't forged. And I think when I was doing the dubbing video, I intended this to be the Yoshi tongue sound. That took 3 weeks of salary to obtain. I didn't quite catch that, but anyway, well, Oh, I know another good one. What is your favorite type of tea? Of course it's gotta be a tea from Payapa berry leaves. Of course, it was Shroomsworth that got me into teas to begin with. No breaks! Miss, it is tea time. What? I don't care what time it is. Get back to work! No. You're gross. Tea is gross. Get back to work! You'd be uncivilized to not like my brew, miss. Get back to work! No! So, yeah, he usually drinks a leafier tea, whereas I like the sweeter brews during our tea time. I see. My favorite is coffee. Coffee?! Who even drinks that? That's not good for you at all. There's so much crap in that. Like I was trying to say, that's a cute pet you have there. He's such a cute little guy. Back off! How do I do a crunching sound? I'll just clap. Ouch! I'm not a friggin' pet, you stupid chicken, duck thing, whatever you are. I don't even know, but you taste like one, and I'm a girl, thank you very much. Man, how are you going to go around calling her a pet? She's my assistant. Shroomsworth accidentally brought her back in the egg cart. How did you accidentally do that? I'll never know. So in exchange for her being saved from her low, she owes me a lot of work. I guess you could say Sandy is kind of like my intern. Sorry, do you have any bandages? Or a med kit? Or adrenaline shot? I'm really bleeding here. Yeah, 50 pokey, 100 for heavy duty. Which? You know what? I'll just deal with it. But one last question. There's more commotion about that gray stone you found. What's the squawk on all that? I'm not sure how much I want to say. I guess it doesn't matter what I tell you at this point. It's a race to figure out where to go next, I imagine. It'll be most profitable for, you know, the health of the village, if I can do what needs to be done with it. I don't think I need to say more, and besides, you'll find out soon enough if a balance can be achieved. We're really lacking that type of balance. I see. Well, I'm sure whatever you said will be interesting. I wrote it all, so it's just me to take the juicy bits. Thanks for your time. Yeah, my pleasure. Really, I gotta be off now. What? I told you to keep her on a leash. PK's unkempt dog attacks brave reporter. Wow. And then we get to Merlot's interview. The last of the interview series, actually. No other guild member got an interview after this. Hello. Wow, you're bigger than I imagined you'd be. Hello, darling. It's been a while since I've had a guest over who wasn't planning something stupid in my castle. Well... Come on, chill, calf guts. I'll get down to it. Are you really a vampire like everyone claims you are? Vampire?
Are you mad? When the world gave you, or anyone else for that matter, that laughably ludicrous idea? Hmm? Well, for one thing, you live in what looks like the Scarlet Devil Mansion. It's a fanfic in-universe, that's what I was thinking. Because isn't it weird to be writing fanfics about real people? I would say, even though there are people who actually do that in the Minecraft fandom for some reason, I don't know, it just still feels kind of weird. That right there, that's monster blood, isn't it? Don't be foolish. You should know very well this is simply wine. I am a lady of fine taste, after all. Yeah, sure. Would you like some to find out? Yes, ma'am. I hope this doesn't turn me into a vampire or anything. That would be so uncool. Well, here you are. It's quite the fine wine, yes? Now put that foolish question to rest. Poison! I'm dying! I see maiden dragons come to take me to heaven. Oh no, you've come to stalk me in heaven too? This must be hell. Wait, who's this pretty dragon at? That's Udon. Pay her no mind. Your questions are boring me. Let's see. Don't you know someone else around this place? I mean, it seems awfully lonely in here. Around here? They're my servants, of course. No. I mean friends. Unless you call all your friends servants. Man, she must be into that. Friends? Yeah. One time I had a friend. It was, well, quite a long time ago. He was a very serious Marowak. Come on, please do dress up. Lady Merlot, those are not clothes for men. This is the only acceptable dress-up for males, Lady Merlot. But that's not what I want. Hi, Ed. Despite that, I did like him a lot. Oh, where did he go? Who knows? One day he left my castle and never returned. Probably for the sake of his health. Anyway, 2 more questions. How did you inherit this castle? It reeks of top poke. You might say aristocracy runs in my blood. I was next in line to run this place after my father. He was killed over a century ago. Whoa, that's rad. Okay, the last question is actually a reader-submitted one. Mine all the cave crumbs. Are you in a relationship with Shroomsworth? Shroomsworth? That haughty little mushroom-headed kangaroo thing? I wouldn't quite call it a relationship, no, but I do fancy him very much. I'd much like it if he stopped by again. Madam, are you quite finished? Okay. Thanks for, having me over. Could you point me to the exit? Exit? Where on earth do you think you're going? I did order a duck for dinner, you know. Ah, you witch! I don't think he appreciates my humor. Ah, well, let us go to dinner. Chuck, you feather-brained idiot! You didn't even ask her why she kidnapped those Pokemon! I have more important things to ask. Like what? Wait, hold on, I gotta do this with the mic thing. Like what? Well, anything good in the news today? Hold up, I'm checking. Oh, that mic. Always getting into zany situations. So boring. That gunpowder, how uncouth of him. Oh, an interview with Merlot. What? Relationship? What on earth? Reader submitted? This isn't funny, madam! Do you know anything about this? Yeah, exactly. Like, why did they think this was a good idea? Why did they think making this canon would be a good idea? Yeah, kids are gonna have questions about things that they don't understand. And because this is the internet, people aren't gonna understand who is a kid or not on the spot. So they're probably going to end up getting answers that they don't want to. Mrs. Puff quote, you know what I mean? Don't be ready to get answers to questions you... I don't even remember the quote properly, jeez. Alright, so what's PK's request about? Oh, it's this story. The room was mostly silent, save for the sound of soft charcoal making contact with and slowly making its way around across a thick, canvas-like paper. There was only one light in this room, a small lamp which hung precariously from a makeshift holder fashioned from what appeared to be cotton string nailed to the ceiling. The lamp swayed gently, spurred on by a breeze which no doubt came from the drafty windows in other parts of this Pokemon's house. Charcoal does not move by itself, though, and a lamp certainly has no business in lighting an unoccupied room. A creature existed here, a charcoal enabler who went by the alias of Pallet. The sound stopped. Pallet set the braid of charcoal down, stood up, and backed up a bit from her work in order to examine it for obvious flaws. The finer inspection would have to come later, as it was rather dark outside, and she couldn't help but feel a bit tired. Seemingly satisfied with her progress for the night, she took the piece off the stand and leaned it against the wall. After making sure all of her supplies for the day were put back well within their places, she set off outside the room and up the flight of stairs to her bedroom. She walked outside into the main hallway, closing the door behind her. Her stomach growled. It had been quite some time since she had last eaten. Drawing took most of her concentration, and, unfortunately, hunger was almost never enough to break it. Not that it would have mattered if it had anyway. She had very little food stored anyway and couldn't yet afford to buy more. She hadn't been able to find any buyers recently for her work, and as a result, had a good case of down-on-your-luck syndrome. Regardless, she decided to head off to her kitchen to see if she had anything that qualified as edible before she retired. She was about halfway down the hall when she heard something. A faint, very low sound made itself known to her as she passed the open door on her left. She halted and poked her nose inside until the unlit Fuck, I need to reread this. She halted and poked her nose inside the unlit room and attempted to sniff out the source of the sound. Nothing. Well, nothing that she could smell, anyway. This room was filled with oil paints and various thinning agents for said materials, and it somewhat hampered her ability to discern anything. She advanced further into the room when she was reasonably sure the sound wasn't coming from inside, but outside near her window. She liked to keep the window open all the time in order to prevent the fumes from her paints making her dizzy in this room. But something about the sound put her in a state of unease, even if it was no longer present. She closed the window and, for good measure, locked it. Pressing her face close to the glass to peer outside as best as she could, she gazed outside. She could spot nothing moving, save for the gentle swaying in trees and grass in the distance, undoubtedly caused by the same breeze that made the basement drafty earlier. Drawing the curtains around the window closed, she took one last peek through the gap they left near the middle of the window. Something moved. Something outside her near her window moved. She couldn't get a good look at it, but it scared her. Backing away from the window was a good start, and she made sure not to make any noise as she scrambled out the room, closing and locking the door behind her. She ran to the end of the hall, stopping at the entrance of the kitchen. For the most part, the room was dark. Faint light made its way into the room by the moon and the stars from the skylight, which was merely a glass panel that could not be opened. I just read that sentence, and I did not understand a word of it. My brain is being fried right now. Okay. Rest thought for a second. I should actually get something to drink. I haven't had anything to drink while I've been reading this for the past couple of days. I brought back some pouch. Or Capri Sun, that's right. Yeah, I've always called these things pouch after the commercials from where you were told to respect the pouch or whatever. Those were old commercials. Where was it? Backing out of the kitchen while never taking her eyes off the skylight, she quickly went down the hall and made her way to the living room, where the only door in and out of her house resided. This room was small and pitifully lit by an even smaller candle. Her bookshelves, which at one point in time were filled with books, and her only chair and table cast eerie shadows along the wall. I just realized I forgot to close the door again. I just don't want to wish to wake anyone in the house. They danced and bobbed to the flicker of that small flame. She wanted to extinguish the candle, but there was a window in this room, and she felt very exposed. Why did there have to be a window next to the door? A silly question, she told herself. She loved windows. They gave her a sense of being outside, even when she wasn't, which was often. She knew the window wasn't what she was afraid of. She was afraid of what was scratching at the door. Wanting very much to shriek, she bit her tongue and remained quiet. A surge of adrenaline rushed through her. She ran as quickly as she could to the candle and snuffed it out, hastily drawing the curtains along the window. Whatever was outside couldn't see in anymore. This also meant she was unable to see outside. She would be unable to see what the thing was doing. Struggling not to panic, she made sure the front door was locked and, for good measure, took out a key and locked the deadbolt on the top of the door. Now there was no way in without breaking the window, or that key. She'd be able to hear a window breaking. She heard the window in her paint thinner and oil paint storage room shatter, and loudly. Whatever broke it evidently wasn't concerned at all with subtlety now, and obviously wanted a confrontation. And that she could handle. Running out of the living room and towards the storage room's locked door, she pressed her ear close against the adjacent wall. Nothing. She was able to hear the faint sound of wind now blowing through the broken window, but sounds of an intruder she did not. Seeing as she wasn't about to unlock the door to make sure, she started back down the hallway towards the bedroom this time. Another window broken, and this time it was the one in the living room. She realized now that the first window was a distraction. Whatever was creeping around her house knew that there was a lockable door in the storage room, and no door at all in the living room. A sense of dread crept into her again as she ran into her open bedroom, closing the door behind her. There was no lock on this door, so a barricade was in order. She moved her bed frame as quickly as she could to the door, which admittingly wasn't very fast, as it was made from solid oak. As the bed frame approached the door, she saw the handle slowly turn. Adrenaline surged through her again as she made the final shove, slamming the almost open door closed, hopefully for good. She would be safe here now until morning, at which point she would be able to climb out the window in her bedroom and sneak around the house just to see what in the world was causing this. The window. In her bedroom? She never had a window in her bedroom, yet there one was. Fairly large and cracked slightly open. It offered a clear look of the world outside, but not the world she was familiar with. This view was something dark. A forest, maybe. Something was out there amidst the sickly, twisted trees, watching her with malicious intent. She had to escape this room, and quickly. Glancing back towards her... Okay, that's a new line, yep. Glancing back towards her door, she saw the handle had stopped moving. Whatever was stalking her knew it could no longer gain access from this avenue. She couldn't leave from that avenue either. The bed frame was far too heavy to move quickly, and the sound it would have made would alert anything in the house to her plan. "Won't you come out, my dear Pallet? We need you to disappear for us." She knew that voice, and that wasn't a good thing at all. She knew what it was capable of. What it intended to do. Her mind numb with fear, she started down the stairs to the basement, her last resort. There wouldn't be a window there. She was at the bottom of the stairwell when she heard the window in her bedroom slide open further. Knowing fully well what would happen if she stopped to look back, she kept her gaze focused on the door right in front of her. Unlocking the door and opening it was easier said than done, as she was more than a bit panicked. She did it though, and she did it before the thing made its way down to her. Slamming the door shut and placing the lock upon it, she fell to the ground, leaning against the wall, covered in a thin layer of cold sweat. She sat there for a while, lost in her thoughts, of which there were surprisingly little. She just survived an encounter with something evil, something she had no defense against. It wasn't fair, really. She had been prepared to deal with anything but what came for her this night. For now, though, she was alone in the quiet solitude of her darkened room. Just her, and her thoughts, and her art. Her darkened room? She never extinguished the lantern earlier when she left, did she? She came to a very final realization. All the windows in the darkness had been a trap to lure her away from any means of escape, and now she was trapped in a small room with no way out. She saw it then. How she managed to see something in that pitch-black room, she did not know, but that really didn't matter at all now. A smile, an impossibly long row of razor-sharp teeth made itself evident below cold, staring eyes. Countless claws made their way towards her along the wall, floor, and ceiling. There would be no running now, no more escaping. As the claws and teeth closed in on her, she wished she had at least gotten something to eat. A few days later, a small crowd of Pokemon surrounded the House of Pallet. Many whispers were flowing, and rumors abandoned. A fire had evidently ravaged this poor artist's residence, and the inhabitants had not been seen for quite some time. The only form of law within Tau Village, the Trap Patrol, finally emerged from the burnt ruins of the very modest home. Trailing them was a very small, very sad Cubone. The wagon he pulled was filled with the charred, broken skeleton of a Zoroark. The afternoon sun shone perfectly through the hut's window, illuminating the room just enough to give it a pleasant, warm feeling, even if the air was a bit chilly. Any artist before their easel would cherish for such a time to paint their thoughts onto the canvas. For Pal, this wasn't the warm scene anyone else would cherish. It was miserable, despairing even. He sat upon a single chair across the room from his easel, feet pulled up into it and long tail curled over his knees. His eyes fell upon the canvas. He refused to use it right now. What good was displaying his grief upon it only to inflict it upon others? It was pointless. At the same time, it was as though he was the only one that cared anyway. That was when he heard a knock at the door to his hut. It was gentle and polite. Come in. How could he turn them away? Though he attempted to raise his voice enough for the visitor to hear, he couldn't will himself to sound any less depressed. He could hear the door swing open, then close, followed by a pair of feet shuffling up behind him. Whoever it was didn't have much to say, or perhaps didn't know what to say. Eventually, he'd have to face whoever it was. His head turned as the unknown visitor shuffled up next to him. Before him was a younger Smurgle than himself. He knew this one as a student of sorts. The sad look on his face gave away how much he knew about what was going on. The younger Smurgle's eyes darted downward for a moment, as though he didn't really know what to say. They found their way back up to Pal soon after, followed with a sort of forced smile. It's a nice day, huh, Mr. Pal? Yes. Pal's voice was dull, lifeless. Crossing his arms over his pulled-up knees, he buried his face into them. The last thing he wanted to be reminded of what a nice day this was, right down to having to see it. Forgive me, Spectrum, but I would rather not paint right now. His accent was more noticeable as he attempted to be polite to his visitor and speak at some degree at length. I know. Spectrum's voice sounded a little more shaky that time. Actually, seeing his idol so distraught had him pretty distraught as well. The buzz was all over the village about what happened at Pallet's hut, and yet no one else was here to console Pal? How could they be so heartless to their star painter? Finally, Spectrum had to say something. He couldn't just leave Pal to his grief. I heard about Miss Pallet. I always thought she was really nice. I'm sorry that, well, she's gone. Pal abruptly finished the sentence himself, lifting his head from his arms to look down at Spectrum once more. His mind seemed to overflow with the worst of his thoughts, and he stood from his chair, grumbling down at the other Smurgle. She's gone! Dead! Never coming back! They made her suffer! He yelled out, likely loud enough for other nearby dwellings to hear. He couldn't help himself. There was anger mixed in with the sadness, and it had to come out, somehow. Unfortunately, this left him with a rather frightened Spectrum, backed up against the wall of his hut. Upon seeing this, his expression immediately softened. Pal fell to his knees with a thud, now at eye level with his visitor. I'm so sorry, he apologized. His own voice was wavering, and he could feel tears welling up in his eyes. There was no excuse for what he just did. He couldn't even look Spectrum in the face, focusing down at the floor instead. I'm angry, but not at you. It's not fair. It was expected that Spectrum would leave after seeing him break down like this, practically to the point of sobbing. It would leave him to deal with this himself rather to inflict it upon the poor little fellow. Instead, the younger Smeargle approached him, coaxing him to tilt his head up just in time to have those slender arms wrap around him in a hug, with Spectrum's head resting on his shoulder. That was something he didn't expect. Sure, others had come, offered their condolences, and gone, but the first one who cared enough to stay would hug him even after an outburst like that. Pal's arms clutched around the younger Smeargle in kind, hugging him close as he had let the feelings out. Everything he held back while he was sitting there isolated seemed to wash out at once as he cried on the offered shoulder. Reading is difficult. Minutes later, Pal pulled back with a sniffle, looking Spectrum in the eye. He looked sad too. It pained him to feel that he caused that to some degree. As a result, Pal actually managed to smile, which brought one to the younger Smeargle's face as well. It was strange how his spirits could be lifted, albeit not exactly healed, not by a single word. Briefly wiping his eyes with the back of his ringed wrist, Pal stood himself up, looking down at Spectrum and placing a palm upon the beret-shaped top of his head. I fear I still cannot paint for you, but why don't you paint for me? The younger Smeargle suddenly looked bashful, covering his own cheeks to hide any blush that may have ended up visible.
Oh, are you sure, Mr. Powell? I'm still not very good. With a sure nod, Powell returned to his seat, though he sat normally, rather than curling his knees up against himself as he did before. I'll be the judge of that, he concluded. As he watched the other blue-tailed Smeargle approach his canvas, he couldn't help but notice that his own smile had stayed, even if his grief was there too. Did I tell you about my new friend, Mr. Powell? Spectrum asked as he picked up his tail, beginning to make strokes across the canvas in a hopeful attempt to make something that would please the artist he looked up to. The older Smeargle simply shook his head. Tell me all about it. Powell would probably never leave his mind, after all they'd done together, but having a kind-hearted visitor was certainly helpful in dealing with it. He found himself appreciating the visual warmth of his room for the first time today. Also, this is called PK's request, by the way. The room was rather frigid when he awoke. This was somewhat puzzling. The door and windows had been firmly closed and locked the night before. Of that he was sure. After all, what had happened to her, well, it made him a bit uneasy to think that anyone could just barge into a room. So it was always a priority at night to make sure no intruders had an easy time entering this tiny abode. Despite this, the room was much colder than it should have been. The weather from Tao had apparently invaded his room sometime in the past few hours. The windows were still shut. The door was shut. He slowly sat up, and then the draft blew over his back, causing him to shudder. The draft. In the split second before Powell turned his head to look in the direction of the unwanted breeze, he contemplated 1,000 ideas, mostly wondering the hows and whys of her death, wondering if he would meet the same fate, if the wind was a harbinger of his demise, if it really was just the fire that had taken her life, if... Oh, a dirty Pokemon had found his way inside, by digging no doubt, as there was, directly beside the poor creature, a pile of evidence heaped next to the gaping hole that went under his crude wall. It had fallen asleep. Powell relaxed his shoulders, exhaled softly. His heart was still fluttering from his brief moment of panic. Obviously, a Pokemon like this was a much more welcome sight than everything he had conjured up in that dreadful instant. The dirty thing shifted in his sleep, and then Powell realized that what he'd mistaken for just part of his head was actually a skull. He recognized it as a Cubone, and then noticed its signature bone club was sticking out in the hole somewhat. It did strike him as odd that anyone would choose to enter his home, this way without having any obvious purpose. Powell thought to himself that he certainly would have chosen this small hut to break into. It wasn't exactly luxurious compared to some residents in the area. So then, was it trying to escape the cold? Was it hungry? Neither of these questions seemed to fit. Then he noticed the bow tie that adorned the Cubone's neck as it stirred further on the floor, still asleep. Then he noticed the gem in the middle of that little bow tie. His mouth instantly went dry, and his arms began to tremble slightly. He couldn't quite place a finger on it, but something about that simple accessory was frightening. Maybe not the accessory itself, but... well, that had to be nonsense. He didn't go into Tao Village that often, and if he'd seen this fellow around before, he wasn't able to recall from where or when. It was time to see if his guess had any explanation for the missing chunk of this floor. Well, that was the plan. It wouldn't utter a word, though it continually tried to get Powell to leave via the new exit. He had nothing else to do, so he left through the door. He seemed to be good enough for the Cubone, who, through the message of frantic squeaks and arm waving, signaled Powell to follow through the snowy brush and towards the village. Okay, so this takes place after the epilogue, I see. Why do some of these side stories take place after the epilogue? It makes no sense to me. Well, Powell... wait, hold on. It didn't take long at all until they reached the frozen fountain, where lay resting the merchant's dragon that had brought with it sickness in an early winter. This wasn't their goal, though. It walked right by the beast, turning to look at Powell to make sure he was still following. And he was, until he was led behind the merchant's hut. The Cubone turned back again, excited until he spotted the worn painter going right back the way he'd come. This was the wrong move on Powell's behalf. A chorus of angry squeaks was a prelude to a tiny hand tugging on his tail, urging him back down the rejected path. He turned around slowly and met a determined gaze peering out from the sockets of the oversized skull. Well, Powell knew inordinate stubbornness when he saw it. He had no energy left to argue, nor did he have much energy left for anything these days. It was a miracle the plague hadn't hit him in his exhausted state. Yep, this is definitely after the epilogue. While he was busy contemplating how much he might not have terribly minded if he'd fallen ill, the Cubone had taken to uncovering a hole, a very deep hole.
Actually, it was more like a tunnel from what he could see peering into it. He could have considered the depth for quite some time further, but this train of thought was broken by his little guide jumping straight into the hole while holding Pal's tail. The tumble down lasted longer than he would have liked, and he was certain that his tail splattered against his face and thighs and arms and whatever other body parts were strewn about during the fall. The landing was rough, but he was at least grateful that the tunnel wasn't a straight drop. It's kind of harsh, and it seemed like it would be somewhat difficult for him to climb back up, but he didn't smack anything too hard. Well, he could see. He couldn't see much. He felt a tiny paw grab a hold of his arm, and knew he had to be led forward. Unlike his guide's eyes, his own were quite adept enough to see around with a dismal amount of light that managed to make its way down the tunnel drop. Besides that, they were quickly leaving behind what pitiful light that there was, and at that time, he became completely reliant on the Cubone, whose pace increased dramatically with each passing moment. And so he ran as fast as he could, keeping up with the tugging at his arm as best as he was able, tail occasionally bumping off the dirt as he ran, most definitely leaving behind blue splotches of paint he'd never get to see. But that, regardless, left a trace of his presence. It kind of worried him to leave behind markings he didn't deliberately place, but it suddenly didn't matter. No, it didn't matter at all, because he heard, somewhere still further in the pitch-black cavern, a voice. And he thought that moment he could yelp, but he did not. Instead, he kept running, and then wasn't seen again by anyone for a long time. No one noticed, or that he could think of, anyway. He was gone. Remember when this was called PK's Request? Also, which part of these were written by Bluvaji and which one of these were written by PK, Glip? Plus Grief, Pal, and Checks, and Erased? What the fuck you mean there were more? I guess those are, like, more arts and stuff. Yeah, where is PK? This had nothing to do with her! But wait. I need to investigate this. Shit, I didn't mean to open up the private window. I need to open up this window anyway for the next side story. Let me web archive this, see if this has been archived. Because I need to read all of this. If we're not able to find this, then we'll get back to it later sometime. Unless this is unrelated to that, but still. Yeah, she definitely evolved off screen because the Dojins take place before the main plot. Anyway, let's get the epilogue over with. Come on, we gotta hurry, everyone. We may be too late. Have we really made it in time? Oh wait, have we really made it in time? Ack! Bunch of Pokemon saying stuff. Oh, hey, I know you. No, we're not even at the altar. Oh, yep, the merchants win because it's Glip's story after all. The merchants win. I'm not doing a roar. Can you help me? I said, can you? How do I make that noise? Wait, hold on. I got a sound pad. I can use a sound pad. Updating Steam. I'm just gonna be playing random shit on the soundboard whenever he does something. And I got a lot of dumb random sounds on this thing. Yeah, unfortunate. What's a good sound to start off with? Oh, motherfucker!
Are you curious about my shitting?
Double Wednesday!
Stop ignoring me!
Check out my butt!
This is too funny. No. Ice? We were at the altar. You have failed. You may find your way out alone. Good luck. I guess we better get out of here now. No! Damn it! Worthless! Useless! Get out of here! All of you! But
chill. No! See if you guys can even manage that! God, I'm starting to sound like Mike with that. It's the southern thing. I'm southern. Pay attention to me! I woke you up! Come on! Come on, what are you even doing? Stupid. Hope I didn't go through all this crap for nothing. I can't even believe—
My two halves have been silenced. You may speak with me now.
Oh, now you speak English?
Yes.
Also, she directly says English here. Even though in the FAQ, all of the languages have their own unique names. Okay, so what were you saying then? Can you help me?
I don't know what has happened since I first entered my slumber. The souls of my other halves are in turmoil. I felt them stir. I felt them stir.
Are you talking about the other stones?
Stones? Oh, that is actually their resting form, yes. Actually, they both should have been awake. Something terrible has happened. I do not know what.
I've never even heard of the stones until recently, though. Nothing big's happened that I know of.
Well, I'm sure it happened centuries ago. It was during the dawn of Prosphora that I fell asleep.
Prosphora. Wait, you know him? No one's seen him in years. He's that old?
Of course I do. He's the overseer of the East, much as that Lugia family is of the West. My halves were so... Oh, I suppose that leaves the North and South in turmoil then.
What? Listen, man. Can you help me out? Our village is in conflict. I've been pretty much, minding my own business. These stupid groups started fighting and stuff. Of course, I've asked them to knock it off because it's bad for business, because it's bad for morale and all that jazz. But they won't shut up and stop fighting. So I came here kind of hoping you'd help me out. It's a tough spot.
Yes. I sympathize. It sounds familiar to me. I will help you out.
Ah, really? Excellent. Let's get going then.
Shit, I didn't mean to blow up like that. Damn it.
But it wasn't supposed to go like this. I should have picked more competent teams. Ugh. Now what, stupid stone? Maybe if I just gotten someone to burn their buildings down, that could have brought me more time. That's the truth of the matter, is it? They're both wrong. I was right. I am right, stupid Kecleon. Yep, gunpowder's all tied up. Mac boy? What, Mom? You planned that, didn't you, boy? You're wrong material after all. I love you, kiddo. You make me proud. Mom! You got it all wrong, Mom! Quit your modesty, boy.
Excuse me, my dear boy Michael, but what are you doing with my partner,
Oh, Devonshire. I wasn't expecting to see you before I left. Mikey boy here was just making his mama proud.
Wait, what?
Maybe Mike will have at least taken care of things properly in my absence. Ugh. Damn it, Mike. Yo, man. What the hell is going on, Mike?
Well, Chill, it seems that your partner, Mike, has tied up my business partner.
You got it all wrong, Ghosty.
That's funny. Why else would he be there, tied up in front of your treehouse?
I don't know, okay? But I know Mike didn't do it. Yeah, I swear. What? Boy, you best be lying, because that's real disappointing. I didn't do it.
Regardless, I do believe you owe us compensation for our last time, yes?
Compensation? Hey, Devonshire! How would you compensate me for my damn stand?
I do not know what—
I know it was you!
Well then, might I ask what you needed Chill's trophies for?
What?
You know, the ones all in a pile in your hut?
No, my trophies! No, it takes hours to watch Mike clean those, PK! I didn't do anything, man! I've been busy taming a wild dragon, okay? Alright, this is a little too much for your mama, Mikey boy. Maple, come to your mama, girl! I'm checking out the treehouse, Mom. Give me my freaking trophies! Go take them then! Oh yeah, we got Maple before PK figured out how to draw a Stunky in a way. Did I not do this as a PNG? Okay. Good grief, can I really not leave without all hell breaking loose? Wait a minute, where'd Gunpowder go? And Devonshire, they're both gone! Don't look at me. Hold on. Okay, what were we talking about? Hi, I like you. Come on, Maple, it's time to go. I want to stay here, Mama. I like this guy. Dude, that's my freaking sister, man. Not cool. Hey, you may notice, but I didn't ask for this, man. Okay, Mike? You better not try anything funny, man. I mean it. What? You kidding? That's just disgusting. What was that? What were you saying about my baby girl? Am I gonna be able to leave her here, Mikey? Don't worry, Mrs. Mike's mom. Maple will be in good hands here. Promise, it's cool. Yeah, Mom, it's fine. I wonder why they say this. Why did they say this? Why do they make mention of... Why do they make mention of this? Maple's a child! Oh, I know. Glip. It appears so. The Rescuers Guild had it the worst because of how many leaders come and go. Alrighty then, I suppose I head on home then. Wow, how interesting and exciting! Almost as interesting as who the hell is going to fix my stand! Especially since those Weasley friggin' rogues just disappeared on me! Hey, you know what? How about you help me out here? Let's call a village meeting. If you wish. I do. Wait, I never got your name. I have no need for a name. But I guess you can call me Duke Nukem if you want. Well, what's your species? I don't even know that. I am Curum, if that is what you wish to know. Nope, no good. NG, what? I'm renaming you. Ooh, how exciting. Like, name me a baby or something. How about Cream? No? What about Gelato? I had a friend named that once. Icy, Abby, Pickles, Sorbet. Come on, you gotta like something. You could just call me Duke Nukem. You know what? I've decided I like Sorbet, because you're a frozen treat. That's a really awful joke. Is that even a joke? No one asked you. Whatever, let's go. You're trying to find out who damaged your stand, yes? No, Devonshire did it. You know this? Well, who else could it have been? He's a rogue, he's their leader, that sneaky piece of... That's not good enough. Ask around to see if anyone witnessed the act. You're supposed to take on my side. Let's go. Yep. Listen up, everyone. I got a problem. It's called Who the Hell Broke My Stand, and I want answers now. Miss PK, I think I saw Devonshire at your stand. Man, Sorbet, I told you it was him. Wait, but I saw him too, but something was wrong. Off. Oh yeah, he had golden eyes. Mike is, I think, a young adult. And... let's see. Yeah, he's a young adult. And Maple... Child. Speaking of off, why'd you raid our base, PK? What did you need Chill's trophies for? Wow, you've got some nerve. I wasn't even here. Well, neither was Devonshire. Did you forget? He was at the tower at the time someone trashed it. Ah, that's right. But someone saw him here. But someone saw him here too? Could have been a trick or an illusion or something. Especially since we all saw you here too. But I wasn't here. Exactly. That means someone was pretending to be you. And him. And Chill too. Trick or illusion, huh? Ah! That means it was pallets. It had to be. Pallets, you say? Gotta say, I'm getting pretty sick of you, Devonshire. Are you always this rude? I do not know how that Brayloon puts up with you. Shut up. Yeah, I don't know how he puts up with you too, but it was clearly a mistake. I've simply come to tell you that since Pallets is an ex-rogue, that we shall make it our business to, take care of her. It's the least I can do for your troubles. Is that acceptable, Miss Ice Queen? I guess, keep her out of our village, or else. Understood. Good day. Oh, and now we have the reason why it's called PK's request. Meeting dismissed. Feel kinda crummy. Go home, everyone. Oh, man. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, wait a moment. Is this snow? Sorbet, is this your doing? It's not even winter, man. Sorry. I don't know what you expected. I'm an ice dragon, you know. Gonna make a lot of Pokemon sick. We can't handle abrupt weather changes. I can't help it. My body naturally does this. It's going to be snowy here for as long as you want my help. That blows. I'm going to bed. I'm so cold. I'm so cold.
Take it easy, madam. It's been days and you haven't gotten much better, so it's probably time I call in the doctors, is it not?
Yeah, everyone's getting sick. No one's gonna be able to work if we don't figure something out, right?
Oh, actually, we might as well get the doctors to mass produce the medicine and then buy it from them. Actually, I bet we could make a giant profit from selling it to all the sick.
Shroomsworth, we are not selling that. We will distribute it at no cost. We brought Sorbet here and it's my fault they're sick too. Got it?
Yes, of course. You know best, madam.
We could sell Aspia berries for the sniffles, but no one super sick will be denied medicine, okay?
Yes, of course. My apologies, madam.
Knock that crap off and just set up a place for the doctors.
Oh, I do have good news. I received notice that Malt and Ovaltine are working together again, so our profits from the ranch are up. I'm glad we sent a team to do it. Angry cows are quite insufferable. Okay, how do I do a... How do I want to do this? Because I think the joke I had with Von Kaiser is Kaiser Wave. It's Von Krauser from Art of Fighting, I believe. Oi, foolish Kecleon, you are very lucky I've got here in time. What are we doing out in the cold for so long? You know lizards generally shouldn't stay in icy places for too long, miss. We only have a little medicine here. There are many sick Pokemon here. Ah, yes, about that. PK informed me that she wishes for our guild to be of use in that, actually. I got in contact with Mike and Gunpowder as well. They offer the services of their guilds to help make medicine. Just inform us as to how we can aid you. Mama, I thought they were supposed to leave the village. I'm sorry, my babies. I'll figure something out. I promise. Just keep trying to sleep. Mama will do her part next. Yep, he certainly did that. I know we failed, but I'm so happy to see him. We are lucky. Lucky the other two still sleep. I understand your feeling, though. I wish I could see her again, too. Just be careful, Kalish. You know he wasn't supposed to wake yet, even if he is the calmest of them. This whole ordeal is just painful. It's embarrassing that we lost the stones to begin with. It's so hard. I watched over his cave for centuries, and now he's here. I don't even know if he remembers me. I worked so hard only to fail him. Nonsense. He gave you the symbol in your hat as a sign of trust. He would remember you. Yes, Seastalker's right. Be glad you didn't have to take your feather in battle as we did. I suppose so. Yep. It's weird.
Yeah, I murdered somebody. Don't care. I gave you all medicine, so...
If I had a webcam, you'd see me flipping the bird off twice. Okay. So I guess resignation was supposed to be before that? Jesus Christ. This timeline is so weird. I think... Yeah, even if it is like event 3 and then you got resignation, so I guess we'll do event 3 next. Okay, it looks short. The air was cold, but not overly so. But this didn't matter to her. She felt utterly frigid, and no amount of blankets was able to restore her color. Sandy planted herself near the foot of the bed, making sure to keep any intruders awake from her sick mistress. She couldn't help but wince a little out of sympathy. She hated the cold as much as any lizard, and for some reason, PK had decided it was a good idea to run about an icy cave for hours. It was hard to comprehend. Why had she brought the cold here? That's all the Icy Dragon had done so far. Bring on the snow, making everyone sick. Eventually, Sandy heard the door open. She growled momentarily before recognizing the scent of the visitor. Sandy sat up. I need a drink. Yeah, there we go. Shroomsworth paused briefly before answering. Yes, of course. He had hoped Sandy didn't notice his hesitation, but PK's color was worsening. The blind Dino wouldn't be able to notice such a detail, but he certainly did. Wait, I thought Sandy was a she. Oh, no, wait. This is Shroomsworth. See, the problem with not being able to tell who is doing what? He leaned forward, trying to find a good spot to place her tea. She was shivering with such intensity that he reconsidered handing off the tea, fearing she might instead burn herself. Please, madam, open up and take a sip, he pleaded with her. You can't go on like this. Man, I wish Shroomsworth would do that with me when I'm sick. Mike, come on, man, cut that out, Chill warned. You can't be burning your tail that big in here. This is a treehouse, man. He went to roll Mike elsewhere, but drew his paws back immediately after his pads made contact with the glowing scales. You're burning up, man! Literally, Mike, what's going on? Maple poked her head out of the nearby room. You silly, he's got a fever, can't you tell? Every time it got real cold, this would happen at home. Mama just used to stick him in the fireplace till he burned it off. Pleased with herself for imparting such clearly useful information to Chill, she retreated back to her room. Chill looked back to Mike. He wanted to go visit the doctors to get medicine from Mike, but not at the cost of his treehouse burning down. It was decision time. His decision was... Hey, Maple. No sooner had Chill spoken these words than had the overly enthusiastic Stunky appeared by his side, looking right up into his eyes. The giant, goofy kid smile on her face. I need a favor. Can you go do something for me real quick? Also, yes, best track. Best track is here. He paced around the dank cave and thought, circling his partner countless times before coming to a halt. This is going to make my next move very difficult. You know that gunpowder? A grumble was all Devonshire received in response. Devonshire idly adjusted his cravat for a moment, then stated, Well, a sick partner is no good to me. I'm sure you're aware of that. Gunpowder narrowed his eyes a little, unsure if he had briefly seen the gems flickering in the dim light, or if that was just his delusional imagination. He placed his bets on the former. He also knew that Devonshire wouldn't truly leave him hanging like this, stuck alone and ill in this hole in the ground. After all, it took a lot of work to get to this point. It was clearly easier for Devonshire to help his partner than to move on to a new one. Besides, it was just a cold that had lasted well over a week, with no signs of improvement. Yes, just a cold. Devonshire's blank expression finally broke, and he sighed. I'll go visit the good doctor. Try not to become just another body to be removed from my cave, yes? Gunpowder's grunted assent. And with that, the Sableye receded into the shadows and was gone in an instant. Back again, I see, Dr. Quack said, sizing up the Breloom, seemingly considering the ingredients in front of him. Actually, I wanted to see you. Needed to talk. Shroomsworth looked at the doctor, clearly wishing for good news of sorts. Does this mean you've gotten the medicine ready? He asked tentatively. Dr. Quack laughed heartily, as if Shroomsworth had just told a grand joke. Shortly, my boy, he said, wiping a tear from his eye. In the meantime, look over to your left. Yes, right there. Yo! The doctor had pulled a spore off the cap of the The doctor had pulled a spore off of the cap on Shroomsworth's head. Just like that, it had been removed. Doctor, Remedy yelled, what are you doing? He didn't agree to that. On the contrary, Fro. He agreed to help his partner under any conditions. Do you remember this? I've determined that this is a condition. Very necessary. Shroomsworth was in too much shock to even speak. He had spent the past minute leaned forward, hands on his knees, face blanched from the pain which subsiding. Slowly. Remedy rushed toward him with her medical bandages and antiseptic balm. I didn't know that could come off, she said in a hushed whisper. He turned his head and let out a single pained sigh. It's not supposed to. God, poor Shroomsworth. Poppy was alone in the tent, working hard to prepare the salve. They had only brought a few ingredients with them to Tao Village, underestimating the amount of Pokemon that would need their help. Yeah, 7,000, huh? Or at least I guess it's less. Still, it's in the thousands. First, the flower had to be removed from the stem, and the seaweed had to be treated with a special elixir. After that, the only remaining item that needed preparation was the spore container from the unfortunate Breloom's head. She grabbed it up and placed it in her mortar, using a round stone as a pestle to crush it up into a fine dust. Yes, I agree. There are multiple points in the story where PK should have died, but didn't. There have been a lot of points where she should have died. The flower was next. She ripped it to shreds and placed it into the bowl. Seaweed next. Yes, it was all going well. A bit of water, some heat applied, and she had a fine medicine mixture going. Unfortunately, they only brought enough of the flowers and seaweed with them for a few doses of medicine. It was shaping up to be an epidemic of sorts. Pokemon were getting ill left and right. They simply did not have the resources to treat the illness as effectively as they would have liked.
Dr. Quack suspected that the Curum had been sick before he slept and kept the virus with him for the centuries he slept. Poppy didn't really know about that type of stuff yet, but she trusted the doctor. He was usually right about these sorts of things. Remedy and Dr. Quack reappeared after a brief trip to the guild's headquarters. Excuse me. She knew that they were letting the leaders know what needed to be done. She also knew that as soon as she finished this batch of medicine, it was going straight to the sick leaders, and that another batch needed to be made, and another, and another. She and Remedy certainly had their work cut out for them. This is so disgusting. Everyone is filled with this sickness all of a sudden. Fortunately, I have the solution. I will need able-bodied teams to obtain a few ingredients. First things first, seaweed. This can be found, well, in the sea, silly. But a more accessible alternative may be the cobalt lake. Yes? Of course. Ah, I am genius. The Brailum of the merchants has graciously provided me with a spore from his cap, but we need more stat. His home, Sapling Village, may be the best place to look. There is also the knife flower from the creeping forest. This may be dangerous, as I am sure many of you know. Do avoid any suspicious sneasels. Zasha covered. It is a shame we must harvest so many things for this outbreak, but we have little choice. In my expert opinion, it all started with that lumbering giant Pokemon that the Kecleon brought back. I wish he would go away, but this is not up to me. Healing you is up to me, so do your part. Hello everyone. It is most unfortunate this little scare is happening, but we're doing our best and making our best efforts. We notice it's mostly Pokemon that don't deal well with the cold weather who are taking the hardest hits. Try to hang in there, guys. We need the help of all healthy Pokemon for this task. You're all up for that, I'm sure. If you're not up to collecting ingredients for Dr. Quack, Poppy and I can use you helping us in our tent to prepare the collected ingredients for the medicine. Please help out if all that possible. There are a lot of you guys and only 2 of us. This is rubbish. What sort of doctor simply plucks off parts of others? Regardless of the reason, we must simply call him into question later. It is only a matter of time before he moves on to limbs. Or eyes. It was for a good cause, it seems. It would rather that the spores of my kind are a key ingredient for the medicine we shall need to counteract this vile sickness that spreads among our village at this very moment. As I am sure you all understand, this affects all guilds, so please, put any squabbles aside for now. We all suffer from this, and there is no need to worsen matters, what? We are reaching out to you, Pokemon who have resisted the sickness so far. You are needed to collect ingredients en masse. The good doctors of our village have humbly agreed to concoct medicine for everyone else, so long as they have the means to brew it. Splendid, really. I'm certain you've all heard the ingredients. I do hope you realize that we normally do not tolerate others plucking things from our caps. Please refrain from doing this to me or any other Brailum. There are stockpiles of them within my old birthplace, the Shroomish Hub. Do hurry there. Do hurry. There are many sick Pokemon relying on you to help restore health to our village. I should probably not bother with this. Just thought I would say sorry about the cold outside. Working on it. Tired. We'll be sending out medicine later. Can't do that if no one helps out, though. So please. Tired. Good night, PK.
Alright. And now we get to the story. Yep. So this takes place after the event, I believe.
Shumi, where are you?
PK stepped out from behind her sales stall after making her last exchange with a small rescuer Pachirisu. Evening was approaching, which meant that it was time to close up shop for the day.
Shumi, we need you to count today's profits,
she called out, stepping inside the merchant's HQ. He had to be in there somewhere. Unfortunately, the only one outside of the private quarters was Sandy, PK's freely hired Dino assistant, lying comfortably on the ground.
Sandy, have you seen Shroomsworth? He's usually ready to count profits by now,
PK noted with minor concern. Sandy lifted her head and peered towards Shroomsworth's private quarters. I saw him go in there a few hours ago. She then let her head lazily droop back down, likely closing her eyes. If she had any, it was hard to tell. PK reeled in shock.
A few hours? He's been slacking off in his room for that long?
This won't do at all. She marched right up to that lazy Brailum's door, raising a claw to knock at it loudly.
Shroomsworth, get your butt out here! That sale raked in so much Pokey from the rescuers. There's no way I'm counting this stuff myself.
No answer. Odd. The chance to count a large sum of profits was usually pretty exciting for him. Shroomsworth! The Keklon called his name again with one last hard knock upon his door. The door is unlocked, madam. The monocle Breloom's voice finally sounded from behind the door. His tone was rather dejected for some reason. With that permission, PK grasped the handle and turned it, stepping into Shroomsworth's quarters. Despite his refined stature, he had rather humble living quarters. A bed just big enough for him, a desk to keep things important in, and a cabinet storing his various fancy items. Tea sets, monocles, the like. The gentleman Breloom was standing at his desk, facing away from the doorway as he overlooked something. I am certain Sandy can help you tonight, madam. What? Shroomy, we made a fortune today! Come on, don't you want to feel the crisp, thick wads of cash in your claws? PK was already imagining this herself. Oh, the things she could buy. The Spinda Cafe would certainly be receiving some business from her soon. And Shroomsworth, surely he could do the same. They did serve his favorite tea, as she recalled. I am feeling under the weather, Miss PK. Please, just leave me be tonight. I will make up for it tomorrow with overtime. Shroomsworth turned his head to look back at the Keklon with a smile on his face. I promise. This was weird, to say the least. What are you looking at over there? PK asked suspiciously. Shroomsworth turned his head away from her again, looking down at some sort of documents on his desk. Please, do not meddle in my personal affairs, madam. PK steamed with anger at such a response. Fine, see if I care, she exclaimed, storming right out of the room and slamming the door behind her, grumbling as she stamped across the HQ lobby. Self-righteous fancy pants twit! Sandy, help me count profits, since someone's too busy! The Dino had already awoken abruptly to the sound of a slamming door. Noting that PK seemed so upset, she was quick to hop to her feet and help out. The night went on as the Keklon and Dino sorted out piles of Pokédolls within PK's quarters. It was second nature for PK, but Sandy had a bit more trouble thanks to her flat feet. She would resort to simply forming a neat pile of dollars and gradually sliding them over onto another pile under her bare forefoot, counting each one. This obviously wasn't her strong suit. Sorry you have to do this. PK broke the silence by apologizing. At least she seemed to have calmed down. Sandy simply shook her head. It's okay. Why doesn't Shroomsworth want to do it? She asked curiously. It was certainly a mystery. Even PK could only shrug as she sorted Pokédolls from one pile to the other. Beats me. All he did was make excuses. I bet he was just being lazy, she concluded. There was a brief silence as Sandy slid a few more Poké into a counted pile, then paused and thought. Why would he do that if he likes counting money? Maybe there's something wrong. The realization made PK pause too. Why would he refuse to do this? Was he really sick? Maybe something else was wrong. She had to know. It was interfering with his duties as a guild leader. Though, maybe she was a little worried. Maybe slightly. You're right. PK set the last Pokédoll she had picked up aside and stood up. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Do you think that you could, Knowing what she was going to ask, Sampley simply sighed, resigned to a night of counting money instead of guarding it. Yeah. Don't expect me to be done before you get back, though. This is hard. With an understanding nod, PK quietly exited into the lobby once more. It was now the dead of night, and she could easily sneak out. The curious Kecleon tiptoed to Shroomsworth's quarters once more, placing the side of her head against the door to listen. It was completely silent, eerily so. Quietly, she reached down to test the knob, only to have it turn on its own. Panicking, PK did the only thing she could think of at the time. She blended in with her surroundings, as Kecleons tend to do. So I'm deteriorating on pronouncing Kecleons as time passes on. Staying still against the wall next to the door, she was practically invisible. If she were moving, one might be able to spot the zigzag pattern on her belly. Zigzag. But that was not the case here. Out of his room came Shroomsworth. He was carrying documents of some sort as he looked about to see if the coast was clear, before quietly heading for the HQ exit. It was far too dark to make out what he was holding, but it had to have been what he was focused on earlier. What is he up to? PK mused. She had never, ever seen her fellow leader sneaking out like this. She had to follow him. Moving slowly, the Kecleon followed her teammate outside, taking care not to give herself away. At any time, it seemed like Shroomsworth would turn around at all. She stopped in her tracks, nervously waiting for him to continue. It was too late for any other Pokemon to be roaming out. Was Shroomsworth going to meet someone? Why would he meet someone so late at night? It was a strange route he took. Right around behind the HQ, into Creeping Forest. What a terrible place to go. It did make it easier for PK to follow him, though. Each tree provided her cover as she slinked between them as nothing more than a faint, bobbing red zigzag. Not even that was noticed, thanks to her expert sneaking. Heh, you finally showed up! A Weasley voice abruptly sounded out from the trees. PK's eyes widened as Slasher himself dropped down before Shroomsworth, who didn't seem confused in the slightest. This must have been a planned meeting. What was he working with that vile gang? A few more Sneasels dropped down behind Slasher. His bodyguards, of course. He never went anywhere without at least a few. You make good on our deal, or do things have to get ugly? The gentlemanly Let me reread that again. The gentlemanly Breloom sighed, holding out the documents he had been carrying all this time. Here, he said with an obvious venom in his voice, a copy of the resignation papers I will present tomorrow. I hope you choke on them. Resignation? Pika couldn't believe what she heard. Why would he quit? After all they'd been through? She almost revealed herself right then and there, just to break the meeting up. But as they continued talking, the real picture became clear. Slasher accepted the papers into his claws. It was dark, but Weavals and Sneasels could clearly see in the forest at any time of day. It's part of why they hang out there, after all. A grin came over his face as he gazed down at it. Yes, perfect. You'll never work in this village again, one way or another. We sure will, though. What is that supposed to mean? Shroomsworth asked the Weavile angrily. The deal was simply that I would relinquish my position if you do not reveal her whereabouts to Merlot. One of the Sneasels laughed heartily as Slasher held up the resignation papers he was handed. That Kecleon's getting this notice to her, no matter what you think now, hand signed by you. He chuckled as he turned about, beginning to walk away. Oh, and we're telling Merlot anyway. With you and that stupid dog on, we can raid the coffers and be rich. That was when Slasher bumped into something he couldn't see right away. A Kecleon seemed to materialize in front of him. A very angry Kecleon. Madam! Shroomsworth called out in surprise. He had no idea he was being followed. With a deft swipe of the tongue, PK took the resignation paper letter right out of the confused Weavile's claws and into her mouth, where she immediately swallowed it. Do you really think I'm that stupid? As Slasher was focused on PK, he suddenly felt himself being grabbed by the head feathers from behind. His entourage turned to see Shroomsworth's arm having stretched several feet outward to grasp him. How about you? This Breloom shouted as the Weavile, taken by surprise, was pulled back toward him by the feathers. He twisted midair just in time to meet Shroomsworth's other claw head-on with his cheek. Not a pretty sight at all. Slasher crashed from mid-air straight into the ground from the impact. The two Sneasels that were with Slasher prepared to aid him, only to be reminded that they had turned away from a very angry PK. 1 punches, 2 punches. The Sneasels were out like a light in no time, and they never saw it coming. They and their leader had been knocked out. With a proud sigh, PK dusted her claws off on each other, then looked up to Shroomsworth. He seemed a bit upset, perhaps ashamed. She approached him, a mild look of annoyance on her face. How could you even think of letting these idiots make you quit? You're better than that! It was true. He fell for something stupid, and he knew it. Apparently not, madam, was Shroomsworth's only reply as he turned around, walking back in the direction it came. He sounded uncharacteristically sad, for once. All of this was happening so fast. PK understood bits and pieces, but she had to get it straight. Quickly, she ran to catch up beside Shroomsworth. Hey, we're not done talking. Were you really gonna give up everything for Sandy? Do you really like her that much? Shroomsworth turned to PK slightly, just enough that the angle reflected moonlight off of his monocle, hiding the eye under it from view. No, I was doing it for you. For her? How could it possibly be for her? PK ran out in front of Shroomsworth, forcing him to stop in his tracks. What? I never want you to resign! She exclaimed. His motivations were so confusing to her. No, but you enjoyed Sandy's company. I did not want her to be taken away from you. Unfortunately, I was going to be swindled either way. You were there to set things right. Let us leave it at that. Shroomsworth explained, promptly walking around to surprise PK afterwards and out into the clearing leading back to Tau Village. He had her best interests in mind above all else. It never seemed like that before. Something about it made her feel strange. Sure, it was always fun to tease Shroomy, and he was always a fairly good sport about it. This case was different, though. This was a genuinely good thing he was trying to do. For her. Yet, right now, he felt terrible about it. He didn't deserve that at all. Exactly! Get away from her! Back at the HQ, Shroomsworth was just arriving ahead of PK. He trudged into the lobby, not at all keeping his usual dignified posture. With an exhausted groan, he opened his door and stepped back into his private quarters for the night, shutting the door with not a creak to break the silence. The room was only lit by the moonlight showing through the window. It was calming, at least. It always helped Shroomsworth manage to sleep when he had a stressful day. Leaning his body back onto the bed, he turned and laid back as he usually did, pulling his sheets over himself. Though he had a rather generous lower body, his bedding had enough to cover it comfortably. Wow, calling it generous lower body? I could call it even more than that. In fact, I will brag heavily on that. Once he reached up to remove and set aside his monocle on the nearby end table, he was ready to drift off. He was almost there to the sweet, restful embrace of sleep, when one of those feelings hit him. The subtle changes in the air, the tiniest of noises, someone was in his room. He opened an eye to a blurry visage of his partner standing at his desk, clicking over to the original resignation form he had made. Noticing that Shroomsworth was stirring, PK turned to look at him, setting the paper down on his desk. "Hey, sorry, I know you were trying to sleep, I just had to see it for myself," she explained, heading for the door. "Wait," the Breloom stopped her, tossing his sheets off and sitting up. "We should talk." Shroomsworth patted the spot on his bed next to him, inviting his teammate to sit there. It was hard not to be in an arrangement of that, after what happened tonight. It was also hard to just wait until tomorrow, with so many things on both her mind and his. Drink time. PK approached the bed and climbed up onto it. Seating herself next to Shroomsworth, with her legs casually dangling off to the side, she looked down at the floor as she twiddled her claws bashfully. "I really don't want you to leave. You're not gonna, right?" A red claw gently settled itself on PK's chin, coaxing her to look up and to the side, directly up to the gentleman it belonged to. His monocle, the only thing he wore to really visually live up to that title, wasn't even being worn at the moment, and yet this air of dignity persisted around him, in his gentle expression and movements. "I will not, madam. I am sorry to have worried you." Shroomsworth was politely apologetic even now, after his pride had taken such a hit. It was just bright enough for Pika to notice Shroomsworth leaning in closer to her. Something about the way he was looking at her was very warm and kind. He really enjoyed her presence right now. Yet, he stopped leaning in, averting his eyes all of a sudden. "I was foolish to tell you what was going on. We should have dealt with this together from the beginning." PK frantically shook her head.
Look, I like Sandy a lot, okay? I definitely don't want Merlo taking her back or anything, but you,
She stuttered a bit. If there was one thing that could make her feel really shy, it was admitting things like this. "Yeah, I don't like that bottom picture either, but it exists."
I really, really like you, okay? You're my partner, and I don't want any scumbag slasher gangers to take you away. There, I said it!
Luckily, the darkness hid any sort of blush fairly well as the two sat in brief silence, letting the admittance soak in. PK had looked away after what she had said. She never felt more embarrassed in as long as she could remember. Then something happened that had made her heart jump. A soft feeling right on her smooth purple cheek. A kiss. She turned her head to see Shroomsworth closer than ever, smiling down at her while she reached up and held the spot that he had kissed, as though she had to hold the feeling on there. As though he knew exactly what she was thinking, Shroomsworth whispered quietly to her. "I will not tell a soul what we said or done tonight, madam. Please, show me how you feel, and I will reciprocate." The statement left PK speechless, to mention the least of it. Her body felt frozen with intense feelings. She was 100% sure she did not want to turn this offer away. It was just so unexpected, too good to be true, and yet here it was. She could look up to him, she could lean in toward him, she could press her lips to his. For all the complications one could think of with a Kecleon kissing a Breloom, not one surfaced in this special moment. It was soft, tender, and heartfelt. Both were reluctant to break off such a thing, but Shroomsworth was eventually the one to do it. "Madam," Shroomsworth began, slipping off of the soft bed to stand up next to it. He approached PK's front, coaxing her to lay back. "Allow me," he insisted as he coaxed her back. His bed was just big enough for her to lay across from the side.
As PK leaned herself back until she was laying down, she couldn't help feeling a little vulnerable. This wasn't a position she often found herself in. She looked down toward her body, over her belly, to see the Breloom gentleman standing tall over her. At least, he was, for that moment. Things were leveled out a bit more as Shroomsworth knelt at the side of his bed, disregarding his usual distaste for dirtying himself with the floor by any means. With the Kecleon as she currently was, he could reach a claw between... Yep, we all know where this is going. As soon as you heard me read something that didn't exist down there, you all knew that I was reading from the Google Doc. So I'm not gonna read most of that. You really did it! You really did it! She couldn't help but whisper aloud in disbelief. And you're really allowing me? He responded right in the same whisper tone. I promise not to disappoint. Yeah, so, first things first, he does mouth. And then he, okay, here's a spot. The Breloom just had to admire his teammate's curved tummy. He never really touched it before, and now he could tenderly rub his nose across it, starting from the lowest of her belly all the way across the red pattern across it to the top. It was so delightfully soft along the way. Claws gently settled upon the cap of his head, let him know that this treatment was not unwanted, and so he continued all the way up to the Kecleon's front. A kiss here, a nuzzle there, all on the journey to eventually meet her face to face again. They could hardly see much of each other, dim outlines of each other's faces, but the heat, that was hard to ignore. Even more difficult to ignore would be, okay, what's next? This was really going to happen. Yeah, it sure is. The only response she could think of to that realization was to wrap her arms around his long neck, prompting another soft kiss between the two as it coaxed him to lean in close. It was during that kiss that Shroomsworth couldn't help himself any longer. Yep, that's sex. They be fucking now. Yeah, so, if you remember from the, Luvachi interview, this and the Rhodes story were both meant to be private for Glip, but then Glip decided, oh, yeah, this is so fucking hot, I need to show everybody this. Not quite as good as staying put, he found himself burying his face into his own bed to stifle what would likely have been a loud enough moan for someone to hear it. Yep. And then we get to part 2. Where's part 2? Just like that, it all came to a halt. The two exhausted Pokemon panted in the darkness, both in some degree of disbelief after what just transpired. Many joked about something like this happening. The two of them always dismissed it, made it seem as though it would never happen. And yet, here they were. Post-sex. Post-fucking. God damn it, PK, I hate you so much. I wish that was me, not you. With a parting kiss, Shroomsworth lifted himself off of PK with a huff. Yes, exactly! Allowing the spent maleness... Oh, I'm not supposed to read that shit, right? That's not mentioned in this. Fuck, I did not mean to read that, sorry. That was a slip. Like, it's in here, but it's not on the wiki. How do you feel, Miss PK? He asked in a whisper. Like I'll die if anyone finds out we did this. She hadn't lost a sense of humor just because her fellow guild leader was charming after all. Neither had he, but thankfully has responded with a gleeful chuckle. I believe we share that sentiment. The common riffraff doesn't need to know. Perhaps you should go clean yourself up and re-accompany Sandy in that case. I will tidy myself up shortly after. Shroomsworth reached down to help PK up and onto her feet. I will continue to tell not a soul if you have the urge to visit me again, however. He continued on in a tone of amusement, though quickly became serious. Thank you for everything, madam. I really hope I don't regret this, PK whispered to herself as she snuck away out to the HQ's washroom to have a quick shower. She constantly ran what just happened through her head. perhaps the greatest proof that there was no regret was the fact that it made her smile. It was a smile she wore even as she exited the washroom, clean as a whistle. Shrimsworth was waiting outside as she exited. He gave her a quiet nod and a smile before taking his turn. With a knowing grin, she headed off to her room to finally get some rest, only to be met with an unfortunate sight. There was Sandy, splayed in what could only be described as a pile of $Poké. All of the sorting they had done earlier was undone. Ugh! PK quietly displayed her displeasure, but sought not to awake Sandy. She tried, at least. The Kecleon unceremoniously flopped onto her soft mattress and pulled the cool sheets up over herself. It felt like a wave of exhaustion hit her all at once as soon as she was in her own nice, comfy, familiar bed, and she drifted right off to sleep, happy as can be. Meanwhile, Shrimsworth had settled in for a second try at sleeping himself. Something nagged at him, though. I do hope there is no more trouble over this. Yeah. So that's actually the end of part 1. I have the document right here. I made a copy in Google Docs just in case the original or the archive somehow disappeared. Well, yeah, there is an archive. What am I talking about? But anyway, I kind of feel uncomfortable enough to not read tonight. No, that's just an excuse to say I don't feel like reading anymore. It is almost 11 and I did stay up quite a bit to continue reading, so we're going to continue with chapter 2 and all that jazz tomorrow. Which one of these is the sorbet clip that I have? I have a bunch of sorbet clips.
I'd like to thank everyone for another cool year of attendance. Anyone down for some ice cream cake?
Oh, I managed to get that first try. Good. Anyway, yeah. See you tomorrow, and hopefully I don't fuck up on the next, stories like this. Good night. This is silence. I'm waiting for goodbyes. Again, I like fishing for goodbyes.